Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, is Andy Molitor. And it's Friday, and I'm excited because we're not going to talk about baseball. I like talking to Frank. I like talking to Adam, but it's baseball. Instead, Mike's here to join us after his appearance on the Deep Dive to talk about some horses, something I really love. First off, Andy, how are you? How does it feel to be home, back in the studio?
I slept like an angel last night on my own bed. Woke up in my own house, my own coffee maker. You're using your own coffee maker. It's obviously it's just a Keurig, which it's hard to screw that up. But your own coffee maker and your own shower. There's something to be said for those two things because you think you're awful smart until you try to figure out somebody else's shower. Like then it's like it's like lava or it's ice. Like I might just take a bath.
They might not label the knobs.
Oh, it's awful, but no, it's great to be home. And yeah, like you said, Mike on the Deep Dive. We talked at length about the Derby. We'll hit it a little quicker today on the Preakness, and we'll let him spit some knowledge at us. But it was fun winning, and then we found out we bet on a little bit of a cheating horse. But you know what? I've won money on the Patriots too. I don't feel bad about that. So it's it is what it is. It's not going to affect the pools. It'll just affect the record books if they and there's a lot of process to go through. And we don't want to talk about that. We're going to be a little more forward facing today, and just so me. Kind of casual horse better. I look at this like the first things that stand out, obviously, smaller field, 10-horse field, the distance, and then just the fact that there's different horses like that. And that's my main question. Like, what makes some of these Derby horses not run in this one? And then the horses that are in this race that didn't run the Derby, why are they entered here? Besides is the easy answer just money?
It's definitely part of it. I mean, you get a lot of new shooters every year with the Preakness, and that is exactly what we're seeing again this time. I mean, it's interesting when you kind of go through this. 16 of the last 21 years, the Preakness winner was in the Derby, and that's because you had to qualify for the Derby via points. So you had to win previous races to be able to get points to get into the Derby. So generally, you have the best 3-year-olds that are in that race. This race is just 2 weeks after the Preakness. Generally, horses have between 3 or 4 weeks between starts, so it's a really fast turnaround. So a lot of times you only see the top horses or the horses that finish the top 2 or 3 because it's just not as prestigious to win the Preakness. People want to win the Derby. You'd love to win the Preakness, but you're not going to force your horse to it when you have the Belmont coming up with a 5-week break in between the Derby and the Belmont.
I mean, that does make sense. When we start, in every horse episode I've ever done with anybody, they talk about like the layoff time. And that didn't even click with me. Like, yeah, it is a pretty quick turnaround. And, you win the Derby, you don't really have a choice. You have to run. And some of these favorites too. And then, I mean, you get down to the odds too. It's like, we overlooked a Baffert horse. Or the market maybe overlooked a Baffert horse. Now it's like, are we going the whole other direction? It's like the top 2 horses are Baffert horses. Do we have to fade them now?
So, I mean, Medina Spirit's interesting because we talked about this a lot on the Deep Dive, how the setup was perfect. And it played out exactly kind of how we set it up. It was that A-plus setup where you were inside speed, got to the rail first, was able to go around the shortest way around the track, and all your main rivals got significantly worse trips. With 20 horses, you're swung 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide. You get pinched at the start. A bunch of things can happen. With Medina Spirit, you just go right to the front, you go around in a circle, and you get home. When you actually adjust it for feet traveled, Medina Spirit ran the 5th fastest time in the Derby. But because of the trip, he was able to win the Derby. And that's one of those keys. And we talked about the value at 12-1. Now you're staring at 9-5, 2-1. The value is gone. And Medina Spirit drew well again in the Preakness. So probably we'll get that A-plus trip again. But you're not going to see D and F trips from the main competitors. There's only 10 horses in the field this time. It's a lot less likely someone's going to be stuck 5 wide on the first turn. It's a lot less likely you're going to see horses pinched at the start, just simply because you have a smaller field.
Is it fair to compare these odds to the Derby odds, though, because Mattress Mac isn't throwing around a couple $1 million this weekend?
You definitely have another data point. I think that's a big part of it. And so that's why you're going to see the money rolling on Medina Spirit. I mean, honestly, the Derby was probably the best race run by a 3-year-old right now when you look at a buyer perspective in that sense. So, I think that there's a lot of plus side there. But look, the pools are still going to be huge. You're going to have a pretty mature market in this sense. And I would expect that you're going to see Medina Spirit end up taking the most money, especially late. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But I don't think that directly comparing the two is relevant. But comparing the value of the two, I think, is extremely relevant.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, Andy mentioned we've got some new horses here. Are there any big names that pop out to you? I mean, obviously they don't have the same turnaround as Medina Spirit. As an NBA bettor, I love a fatigue fade. As a tennis bettor, I love a fatigue fade. Should we fatigue fade Medina Spirit here?
I'm not going to use Medina Spirit on top at all. I think that this is a spot where you're kind of, if you bet him, you're going to the funeral after attending the wedding, right? No reason to do that because I don't like the value there. There's three new shooters really that are interesting to me. Concert Tour was Bob Baffert's horse leading up to the Arkansas Derby. That was the better of the Bafferts, the 10 horse. And Concert Tour is 5-1 right now on the odds board, 5-2 on the morning line. I would much rather take Concert Tour at that price than take Medina Spirit anywhere around 2-1. And I actually think Concert Tour is actually set up better for this race. You get a 5 to 6 week break after the Arkansas Derby coming into the Preakness. So like you said, that rest angle is nice there. And the pace is just going to set up really well for this horse. For breaking from the 10 post, Concert Tour is going to have the option to either take on Medina Spirit right away and go to the lead or sit right outside of that horse and kind of sit the garden trip. So for me, I like the 10 horse Concert Tour on top. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to build most of my bets around.
So who else are you putting together then? I mean, I assume you could have put together some exotics here. What are we layering on top of that?
So I like the 5 Midnight Bourbon as well. Got an absolutely terrible trip in the Kentucky Derby. Pinched at the start, 4 wide, 5 wide, and the 2 turns. The horse likes to be forwardly placed and has in that last race was just 6 or 7 lengths back, was able to run up. And even with all that trouble, actually ran a faster adjusted time than Medina Spirit did in the Derby. Ran the 4th fastest adjusted time. So I think Midnight Bourbon is a horse you really got to use. And then, we talked about this on the deep dive pod. We talked about the conference analogy, right? Where you had the Pac-12 and you had that was the California horses. You had the Louisiana horses. Those horses that we talked about in those top 2 ran 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th in the Derby. There's one new shooter coming in from California. That's Rombauer, the 6 horse. It's 12-1 on the morning line. I think that's the one you got to pay attention to if you're looking for more of a price, because Rombauer has been running against some of those California horses. And last time out was his 2nd start off the layoff. And he ran against Essential Quality, who ended up running 4th in the Derby, ran pretty well, but was a little closer to the pace than he necessarily wants to be. The key with Rombauer is this horse has been pointing for the Preakness the entire year. So this was the goal for Rombauer. Whereas other horses were pointing toward the Derby and then ran in the Preakness, he was pointing toward the Preakness the entire time, which allows the trainer to really set the race up.
That's where I just love that analogy too. It's like it's like we had these conference schedules and then we had to play some of those teams against each other. It's like when you get to the playoff and Bama just blows somebody out from like the Big 12. It's like, oh, okay. Well, like we were kind of high on the Big 12, but now they had to play each other. It's like, were they any good? And there was some questions about the California horses, whatever, if you want to make them the Pac-12. And then like California ran 1st and 3rd. It's like, did you obviously have done that, but should people be making adjustments towards that? Is there a conference or, a set of horses that we should be downgrading based off how they ran? And I know you can't just look at finishing results. You have to look at the trip. Like you said, this horse probably should have ran better, had a bad trip, just got pinched. Nothing you can do about some of that stuff, but like maybe the Florida horses or, the Louisiana horses or I can't even remember all the regions that we were pulling all these because there's 20 damn horses at the time. Yeah. But I mean, is there somebody you're downgrading a little and maybe taking some of these horses and just scratching them off your exotics altogether?
It's a great point. Great point, Andy. Yeah, I am completely throwing out New York horses. I have been for a while here. You had a couple New York horses running the Derby, Dynamic One and Bourbonic. They ended up running 13th and 18th. They're the horses that the 2 Chad Brown horses, Crowded Trade and Risk Taking, were running against. And they did nothing in the Derby. Highly Motivated was the other horse out of New York who got a tougher trip, was probably the best horse out of there. Ended up running, I think it was like 10th in the Derby. You're consistently seeing these horses coming out of Aqueduct run poorly. And I expect that both Chad Brown horses, the Crowded Trade and Risk Taking, are going to take money in the exotics especially. And for me, they're complete chucks. I'm not going to use either of them in my triple or my superfecta. If they win, I lose. And I'm totally fine with that based on how New York horses have fared kind of when they faced other regions here.
So maybe then talk a little bit more. How do you compare? I mean, so why do you fade New York versus favor California? Is it just there are better horses in California versus New York? Is it the conditions? How do you start to peel that onion?
I mean, generally, it's interesting because year in and year out, it changes where the best horses go. A lot of these horses are bought at auction and then given to specific trainers, and some crops turn out better in different areas. What you really do is you look at, okay, how did they fare in the Breeders' Cup? Let's look at that first, because that's the first time you get to see these horses cross regions and face each other. And then you look at horses that kind of go from one area to another and see how they fare. And when you had New York horses go into the Derby, they did very poorly. And you watch those races. I mean, you had one won by the two preps were won by a 24-1 and a 72-1. So you had races that just kind of completely fell apart. The quality horses didn't run very well. And so when you have situations like that and you don't like the winners, it kind of forces you to throw the horses out behind as well. And it was nice to be validated in the Derby and see those New York horses run poorly. And then you have the situations, and this is what really got me high in California. Hot Rod Charlie ran second in the Breeders' Cup Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. Then goes in California, runs against the California horses, decides to leave to go to Louisiana, which I thought was the second best circuit, and ends up wiring the field and winning there. So that really validates that California group, because that's a horse that moved around in the preps and was able to beat a good group of horses. And you saw Mandaloon run second. You saw Midnight Bourbon run fifth, or Bezos run fifth, Midnight Bourbon run sixth. Those were all the Louisiana horses that Hot Rod Charlie beat. So that all, I think, kind of flatters that California group, and that's how I get to that 6 Rombauer.
That makes me wonder about the other races. And I bet on these races because I have a crippling gambling problem. But all the other races on, let's just Derby Day or even Oaks Day, like I guess I didn't pay attention as much as I should have. But are those horses traveling in for all the other races that are not the Derby at Churchill that weekend? Are they all coming in from everywhere else too? Yep. I mean, and is that helping you to evaluate these New York horses, Louisiana horses, Florida horses, California horses too? And I mean, did you see some signal in the the lead up races, whether it was Oaks or Derby Day?
So it's interesting. You kind of, and this is where it gets really nuanced in horse racing. You have to take every different age category and style of horse, and you have to separate them. So you can't say, well, because 3-year-olds on the dirt going 2 turns are best from California, that means that turf sprinters are the best from California, right? These are completely different levels and classes. And so you have to be able to look at, okay, who's in what level, who's in what class, and where are they performing well? I do think it's smart to try and kind of divide the country up at every level. But you have to then take a step back and realize that each one has a different power ranking of which conference is doing well at true turn turf races, and which conference is doing well at dirt sprint races. Because if you get caught up and just say I'm all California, you're going to lose 2 turn turf races. That's much better in New York. So you have to kind of follow these angles, and you got to figure out where to pivot when the general public is just kind of staying in their lane.
Now all these horses are coming in. That means they must be running some today. We know the Derby, there's big buildups on Friday, and you guys told me there is something today, some sort of flower race or something, a Black-Eyed Susan.
We got the Black-Eyed Susan. It's the 13th race at Pimlico today. It is essentially the Preakness for the 3-year-old filly division, and it's a pretty good race. Bob Baffert has a favorite in the 10 horse on the outside, a horse named Beautiful Gift. This horse is coming in from California. I don't think the California females are as good as the California males. So I think this is a horse that you can try and beat. You've got a 9 to 5 morning line. The horse doesn't really love passing horses, which is generally a problem in horse racing. You usually want to be able to pass someone if you're going to win the race. There's a lone speed in here. I see the 6-horse Ice Latte. It's the most dangerous thing. It's what we talked about with Medina Spirit, that A++ trip, the lone speed. The 6-horse Ice Latte sitting on the board right now at, I believe it's 6-1 or 8-1 morning line. Comes out of the Todd Pletcher barn. You get Luis Saez up. This horse is just kind of improving every single start. I think it's going to take another step forward here. And if we get a loose leader, I think Saez can get this horse to go gate to wire.
Is there a double? Is there a Susan? Is there a Preakness Susan double? Do they offer that?
Of course.
I'm a big Oaks
double.
Yeah, I'm a big Derby Oaks double guy, so I'll probably get in on that. So, all right, but I mean, a lot of good stuff. I'm excited for the Preakness. I mean, just absolutely put you on the spot. We've got, Johnny DGen really wants to bet the Preakness. Doesn't like if he's taking his $20 to win right now on the morning lines. Where would he put it? Just for value.
I think the best value is Concert Tour right now. I'm picking Concert Tour on top of the Preakness. If you want to have I'll just throw out some bets for you because I know that's what you guys do, right? We just throw out some bets on the show. All right, so let's play a Black Eyed Susan Preakness double. We'll go 6 iced latte with 5 midnight bourbon and 10 concert tour. Let's play a daily double in the 12th race at Pimlico. So that's the race before the Preakness, which will also be nationally televised. Don't worry, you can catch that one easy. We're going to go with a 2 English B, who's 8-1 in that spot. It's going to be a closer, but I think you're going to have a nice pace set up. We'll play 2 with 5-10, so with midnight bourbon and concert tour again. And then let's play a little spicy try. So let's play a $1 try in the Preakness. Let's go 5 midnight bourbon with the 10 concert tour. And then we're going to put the 5 midnight bourbon, the 6 Rombauer, the 7, I'm going to get this right on this show because I messed it up on another one. France Go de Ina, who's coming in from Japan, 21 morning line, and the 10 concert tour underneath. So it'll be 5-10 with 5, 6, 7, 10 with 5, 6, 7, 10. It'll cost you $24 for $1.
I'm absolutely gonna have to rewind this and watch this. Yeah, I will. I'll try to put something together. Can somebody tweet this? No. I will get a graphic up.
I'll drop you a DM with the bets afterward.
In the perfect parlance for it, just how you write it. So yeah, no, I'm excited about this. And yeah, again, if you want to catch Mike's other stuff, I mean, tell everybody where you can find your stuff about the podcast, the show, the Soma Bombs, everything you got.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, okay, I'm over at racingdudes.com. We got a podcast every Monday and Thursday. Every Thursday, we get our free pick 4. It's called The Magic Mike Show. I co-host that with Curtis Kelleward. You can follow him at Curtis Kelleward. Follow the Racing Dudes at racing_dudes. We got free picks for every track, every day, every race in the U.S. You can check that out on the website if you ever want to DJ and start betting $5 to win. We got you. I got a product called the Sama Bombs. It's my pick 4s and pick 5s every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from some track. There's premium picks. So if you want the top 4 in every race, it's $20 for a day for every track, every race, every day. So we got you covered there as well. And that Thursday show is a great one. If you're just trying to get into horse racing, we literally pick a sequence. We go over a pick 4 and give you a pick 4 ticket at the end of the show. We just did one yesterday for the Preakness pick 4. So if you want to play a pick 4 in the Preakness, go check out the Magic Mike Show from yesterday.
That was going to be my question. If somebody listened to yesterday's podcast, I'm guessing it was pretty Preakness heavy. So yeah, if you want to get a ton more talk about the Preakness, a little, like, how long is that show?
It's about an hour. we deep dive into those races.
If you had a full dig into the Preakness with Mike, if you want that, check out the Magic Mike show he did yesterday.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you guys very much for having me. Love the show. I like throwing some DGM bits in myself. I got a little golf and tennis this weekend because of yesterday's show, so let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, you can check him out at SomoBomb18 on Twitter, and thanks a lot. You have a good weekend. Good luck with all your horse bets.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
All right, that was Mike. Who, he's on the streak. He gave us a winner for the Derby. And I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm sitting here. I don't know if anyone's watching me. I'm sitting there like taking notes, and
I got his bets down. He'll know how to DM it to you, but I think I got it. I think
once we get to the trifecta, I started making a mess. I started too far into the middle of the paper, and I ran out of room. But he for sure will DM me with the actual trifecta bet. So I'll tweet that out on the Brown Bag Bets on the Brown Bag Bets account. We'll get that.
Yeah, I didn't try to write that. I'm just gonna box them all.
Yeah, I know. Because I think it was like a keyed try. Like he had a couple horses at the top, and then he had a bunch on the under. So we'll get that tweeted out for you. And little light on. I'm glad he gave out some picks because we're a little light today. If you want to mention your NBA, what do you got for the NBA today?
Nothing. Don't bet the NBA today. It's a mess. The season, we have got 2 games left for every team. Tonight is just literally, it's a veritable disaster. You look at these teams, anyone that might be playing for anything is resting everyone. You scroll down and you look at stuff like, oh, the Golden State Warriors are playing the New Orleans Pelicans. Hold on a second. Let me just double check what that line is. It was 2 this morning. Wouldn't that sound nice? Yeah, it's Golden State -2. I would love to bet Golden State. Everyone's questionable. Same thing for New Orleans. Zion's out. Ingram's questionable. So to be perfectly honest, I'm probably shutting it down here for the next couple of days. It's so hard to pin down what any of these teams are doing. And really, what you're looking at is who has anything left to play. And as you go through the standings, it's tough. There's not too many teams with much left to play for. The Sixers should lock up the number 1 seed either tonight or in 2 nights. They have got 2 games against the Orlando Magic. They have to win one of them. The Nets look like they're pretty solidly in the 2. The Bucks are in the 3. We still have the Heat, the Hawks, and the Knicks battling out for 4, 5, and 6 there. We'll see how that goes. Those are teams that probably should be locked in this week, but everyone else in the Eastern Conference is pretty much done at this point. Washington, I think, still has to win one game. You look down through the West, Phoenix, I think, can still catch Utah for the 1 seed, but that's unlikely. Everyone else is pretty much settled in. You've got Dallas and Portland fighting for the 5 and 6, but the play-in's pretty much settled here. Sacramento was eliminated despite that tweet yesterday before the game was over. That was pretty sad. For those of you that didn't see it, they thanked the Knicks before they themselves didn't actually get the win that they needed. So things are pretty much locked in. There's going to be a ton of rest. Do something else. Go outside, spend some time with your significant others, read a book or something. We'll get back to the NBA on Monday or Tuesday. I think the playing games are Tuesday, so we should have lines on Monday. So have a nice weekend off.
How about tennis? What did you bet in tennis today? They just keep
nothing, because it's all the same stuff we talked about yesterday. It's pouring rain in Rome. It started raining about 4 games into the Barty golf match, which we should have the over already. If you don't, I think you can still probably find a live 21 or something like that. But none of that stuff is going to resume until tomorrow. It's going to be pouring rain in Rome all day. So I got nothing. It's all the same. Just sitting here twiddling the thumbs. It's a good thing we had Mike on.
It's been a ton of just I have Flash Score on. I haven't had a chance to watch any tennis this morning. And it's just been a ton of resumed, interrupted, resumed, interrupt. I'm not sure what they're doing down there. Just call it. I think they're done. Just call it for the day. We don't need any of that. I think tennis is done. We'll resume tomorrow. I did bet some golf, and again, a lot of afternoon stuff. I'll share my screen here, get a quick look at that. I tweeted them out this morning, but I did play some daily stuff. I went 2-1 yesterday. My morning one won, and then one of the afternoon ones ended up winning. HV3, not HV3, but Charles Howell III really played well, killed my stuff. So today I'm on, and I don't have a ton of time to explain all these. If you have any questions, DM me. But Hahn over Rogers, Sergio over Koepka. I think Koepka legitimately might be injured. I was going to fade him with anybody I liked if they matched him up. Champ over Leishman as a bit of a dog I liked. And then, again, another Ortiz fade with somebody who I don't rate that highly, but at this number, Piercy over Ortiz is a play. So I'm down for that. And then I did throw this together real quick. This is it. He DM'd me and I put it on a chart. So you can, if you need to pause the video, go on YouTube, pause it. And if you pause it, you have to give it a thumbs up because you are getting something out of this. But yeah, the
the pause button doesn't work unless you hit thumbs up. You have to hit thumbs up and you hit pause, and then it'll work. Otherwise it won't work.
That's what affects this. So the Black Eyed Susan Preakness double Mike gave out was the 6 in the Black Eyed Susan today. So that's a bet you need to put in today, paired with the 5 and 10 tomorrow. So that's, it's 2 separate bets, but you can mash that together. The daily double for race 12 tomorrow. That is the race before the Preakness. He's keying the 2 in that race with the 5-10 in the Preakness. And then the Preakness trifecta, he went with 5-10 on top and then 5-6-7-10. 5-6-7-10 underneath in the place and show. Like you said, that's 24 bets. So if you bet $1, it's a $24 bet on the trifecta. So have some fun with those. Again, if you're in the YouTube chat, give us a thumbs up. If you're listening in a podcast, I'm sorry if that was confusing, but go pop on YouTube if you want to bet horses, because I just put a graphic up that's going to make it a little easier for you. I'll probably tweet that out as well, just for ease of use. And if you're listening on a podcast, do rate, subscribe, retweet, thumbs up, like, and all that jazz. And hopefully your weekend's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And you win.
That's right. Go Horsies. Aaron Nola pitches tomorrow. Aaron Nola first 5 tomorrow.
Aaron Nola first 5. Take it easy on the NBA. We'll be back heavy for the NBA playoffs. We'll probably do some NHL playoff stuff next week. I think the return of Baseball Friday. I think we might just do 5 guest week, whatever. We've got a really good golf tournament. We've got playoffs starting in 2 leagues. We've got Baseball Friday. So it might just be us taking it easy and making the guests do the work. We'll see you then.